Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome into another edition of Infection Podcast. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on X at Nicholas M. Craig, or check out my website, or our website, Infection. That's 2 weeks in a row, infectionpodcast.com. Brian, I'm just, my egomaniac personality is really taking over here after all of these years, and I just want all the fame and glory for myself, so I guess I'll say hello to you, and hopefully you can steer me back into reality.
Well, thank you for having me as a guest today.
It's my pleasure. I'm a Chick-fil-A employee.
Yes. If you want to find me, you can find me at Boise Computer on X, or of course at Brian Aldrin, Gab, Getter, Truth Social, and various other places on the internet. So Nick, do you have a preference? We got a lot of different varied topics. Do you have a preference on anything in particular before I jump in?
Can we talk about TikTok for a minute? I know this happened a couple weeks ago. So the Biden, the House and the Senate passed here in the United States passed a bill to essentially ban TikTok. Now, what they banned was the company ByteDance, which owns and operates TikTok, that they need to divest the asset of TikTok and sell it to somebody else. They've got about 270 days to do that. But over the weekend or sometime last week, Biden was speaking at some event that was sponsored by TikTok, and they were the main sponsor of the event. I just, I'm kind of conflicted with this, Brian. From one standpoint, obviously, not a big fan of China. I think that's I'm pretty confident they don't have your and my best interests at heart. On the second hand, I look at this and I go, okay, so a Chinese company is taking our data. What about Google? What about Facebook? What about Oracle? What about Amazon? What about all of these other major companies? Now, yes, they do operate in the United States, but what about all of these other major companies that have incredible data profiles built on us as U.S. consumers and people in the United States? I'm really conflicted on the whole TikTok ban thing from a federal government. Again, if the whole thing was privacy, I might argue that some of those U.S. companies are worse than TikTok. And that kind of pains me to say, but it's kind of where I'm at. I'm very wishy-washy on. I'm literally sitting on the fence.
Well, and that's where I think with this, we've accepted the fact that all these other companies follow, and I heard actually some stat about Google saying that if you've been on the internet since whatever date, that they have this many millions of pages of data on you, person. And that's just, Google just has that much information. Then you take in Apple and all these other places. I think the main thing they don't like is TikTok is taking the information and handing it to China. The part that I don't like is the influence that they're trying to, but now this is where you were on the fence, I think, together. The influence that is trying to put on the young people in America, the influence that Apple is trying to put on the young people. I mean, the influence that YouTube is trying to, Facebook, fill in the blank, it doesn't matter. You could say the same thing about every single one of these groups of people, and it doesn't have to be TikTok. So why aren't we banning Google? Because, for instance, we talked about this in the pre-show. We have one video that's banned that we cannot post.
An episode of Infection Podcast that the viewers cannot view.
That we recorded, that we streamed, we put out there, and then Google said you cannot put this up.
Brian was going crazy. It had to be.
I was pissed because what I said was 100% true and accurate. 100% true and accurate.
100% accurate, 100% truthful. I'm not saying it.
Later,
he's saying it. Everybody's saying it.
A year or two later, you go and you look. Now, papers are putting out the same information that I said then. Scientific papers saying what I said is true. It is accurate. It is correct. Yet Google will still not let us post that video because they say it's misinformation. Even though it's turned around, they haven't turned around and said, okay, scientific studies, the science, trust the science. They haven't done that because the scientists said these things are true. yet they will not turn around and change their policy and let you speak truth on their platform. That's Google. TikTok does the same thing. TikTok I think people are more worried because TikTok gets people to do things that end up hurting kids, and TikTok won't take that stuff down. Google will be happy to take down anything depending on who's president at the time, for certain presidents. Not for Trump, they wouldn't.
To my point, and that's my point, and that's why I'm so conflicted on the issue, because when this is a larger conversation about data privacy. I mean, that's really what the TikTok thing comes down to, is what is ByteDance doing with said data? How are they? What kind of metadata? Because again, that's all this is. It's all metadata that they're collecting. What kind of metadata are they collecting? What are they doing with it? And the question really, I think what you just asked is, are they doing anything worse with the data than U.S. companies like Google, like Microsoft, like Facebook, like Apple, like the rest of them? And I don't know that answer is yes. I think they're all in the same.
I posted a link in our Twitch chat here that has the page created by a Biden-Harris campaign on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't have a TikTok account, but
1 million likes here. I don't either, but it should let you at least see the page. Yeah, it will. And then it's got 324.7 thousand followers on there, and he's got on there "grows the economy" as his sub tag. Okay, but you look on there, he's got plenty of videos that they've posted for him. A lot of anti-Trump, just everything on there. If he thought it was such a danger, why is he posting things to a place that he considers to be dangerous? If he thought it was dangerous.
Well, because it's a very useful tool for engaging with individuals,
for influencing and manipulating children.
Well, okay, hold on.
Okay, and young adults.
No, well, yeah, but see, here's the thing. You say influencing and manipulating. I'm going to make the point to you that all social media, X, which is, by the way, fully rebranded now to X.com. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw that.
X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, all of these other services, they're all in the business of influence, as you call it, influencing individuals. Again, my point is, I don't know that TikTok is any worse. I mean, look at what we saw that came out. Look at the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop story is a U.S. example of U.S. companies, specifically that of Facebook and Twitter, banning a news article from what you can describe as a at least somewhat reputable news outlet in the New York Post, way more reputable than half the other garbage that they promote. And that was essentially scraped from the internet for all intents and purposes, Brian, where that link was really, algorithm-wise, was very stifled down. And we learned a lot of this from Matt Taibbi and some of the information that he got from Elon Musk when he bought Twitter originally, now X. And I look at that and I go, okay, so yes, China is the boogeyman, right? They're an easy enemy to point at and say, yes, anything China, bad. It's an easy talking point. I just really struggle to understand. I really do morally struggle if TikTok is any. Now, I've never used TikTok. I've never had an account. I don't intend on ever creating an account. But I really struggle. Wrapping my head around that they're any worse than these other tech companies that literally did this during a U.S. election 4 years ago.
Yep.
That's
I want to read. Here's TikTok's statement that they gave in response to the ban.
Okay.
I'm just going to read it really quick. It's not super long. This unconstitutional law is a TikTok ban, and we will challenge it in court. We believe the facts and the laws are clearly on our side, and we will ultimately prevail. Funny, the facts, being on your side doesn't really matter in life, and they'll learn that soon. The fact is, we have invested billions of dollars to keep U.S. data safe on our platform free from outside influence and manipulation. This ban would devastate 7 million businesses and silence 170 million Americans. I don't think that's accurate, but as we continue to challenge this unconstitutional ban, we will continue investing and innovating to ensure TikTok remains a space where Americans of all walks of life can safely come to share their experiences, find joy, and be inspired. TikTok disappears. It's not all of a sudden 170 million people won't be able to say anything on the internet. That's not going to change. They just won't be able to do it on TikTok. I don't think there's what would they say, 7 million businesses that are primarily being run on TikTok either.
I'll tell you what, I don't know that 7 billion obviously is not an accurate number, but there's a lot
7 million. 7 million. Yeah.
There's a lot of, it's not 7 million. There's a lot
I'm
of
saying that are
businesses
primarily, that their business source is primarily TikTok. There's influencers who their business source is primary TikTok.
Well, but one of the things that TikTok is doing, and we have a friend, Katie from Computers 2K Now, who does a lot of 3D printing and modeling and stuff like that. She is selling direct on TikTok right now and making a boatload of money, way more than she's making on Etsy and some other platforms. So there is some truth to that. Just the moral quandary here of, are you worse than what we've got? And I can't say that answer is yes.
Yeah, I think it's all the problem is they're mad. The government is mad that they're not the ones with direct influence.
Correct. That's really
they have
what
direct
it comes
influence over Google. They have direct influence over. They used to have direct influence over Twitter. You fill in the blank of whatever Meta, other social media company there is, but TikTok is being run by a different government, and so they're mad that they don't have that control and they want it. So they're going to make them sell it to somebody that they can control. And they want everything hosted in the United States, where we control the data centers and can record everything that comes in.
Yeah, so the NSA can install their data appliance in the network rack and start scarfing down all that data.
Yep, that's really, I think, what this comes down to. Because I promise you, Biden does not care about Chinese influence. If he did, he would have done some things differently previous to the election, I'm sure, as we'll find out if his son ever gets prosecuted.
Touche. So that happened a couple weeks ago. It's come back up in the news as of late, but so that's what's going on with TikTok. They've got 270 days to do that, and in the meantime, there's going to be significant legal challenge against it. So I don't envision that we'll have anything on that probably anytime soon.
Well, and I want to just mention really quick, ByteDance that's the company that holds TikTok, right? Currently.
Yes.
They are huge. Their profits in 2023 jumped 60%, passing Tencent. So I'd have to look and see how much of that is actually from TikTok, because I'm sure they've got plenty of other things that they're bringing in other than TikTok that's bringing in that money for them to be able to rival Tencent. But, I think this is a substantial company. And if TikTok is primarily the source of that income, this will be a big deal to them, because Tencent makes a huge amount of money. I didn't see on here.
I'm looking at this. TikTok is seeing the growth in the size of its U.S. e-commerce business tenfold the last year. It has 170 million users in the country.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable.
So 170 million users here. So with them talking about, let's see, where was that?
7 million businesses?
Yeah, 7 million businesses. I wonder, it'd be interesting how many of those businesses are in America, like where they're pulling those numbers from.
Well, those numbers would be in America, and I'm sure 7 million people have the TikTok
business
account enabled. How many of them are actually profiting or making any money? Yeah. That's probably a much smaller number, but still a number nevertheless. And again, to me, this conversation should be more about data privacy than anything else, which is a huge problem. But it's not. It's just pointing at China and saying bad, we don't like. Mm-hmm. Again, a lot of truth to. I mean, obviously China's our largest adversaries. but it doesn't really get to the larger issue of what are these companies collecting? What is the government able to collect from these companies? The influence, as you noted, and what do things look like in the future with these major essential data profiles that are built on individuals? We just don't know.
Well, and the first time that I realized how much data they were scarfing up in the United States as far as the government was when they reversed, I mentioned it before, but when they reverse engineered the hacks that came out of Russia that one time, months after the fact, they went through, reconstructed all the data, decrypted all of the encrypted VPN traffic, and then said everything that they did. Then I knew they have everything for the whole year of all internet traffic going at least in and out of the country.
It's essentially a black hole of data. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I would not be surprised if that's not limited, if it's also internal data is being recorded as well.
Yeah. Now, here's the other side of it. And I haven't heard anybody make this argument, but I think it's a valid one. There's so much data, one might make the point that it's not even usable. I mean, Brian, I'm sure.
I think they can parse it personally. I bet you they can.
Well, but I'll say to you, in your job, I'm sure you deal with massive amounts of data, and there's issues with like, okay, this is too much data, this is not even usable, and it's like fractions of the size of what is being collected probably on the hour in regards to internet data and traffic. Now, yes, if you wanted to weaponize it against a individual, you know, maybe that's doable, maybe that's not. It's kind of hard to tell. That is the disadvantage of collecting everything, is now you've got so much you don't know what to do with, because it's not easily in a format that is usable or queryable in a way that makes any sense. Now, as you noted, if the government really was hell-bent on doing something, they could definitely do it. So there you go.
And that's where I think they just want to record it all in case they need to go and find out what someone said. Once they found out later that there was a message sent somewhere that they want to know what was said. I think that's the kind of stuff that they're saving. And, you know, then because they must have the ability to decrypt encrypted traffic up to a certain level of encryption. And so I think they just figure, even if it's something they can't decrypt right now, they figure in 5 years they will be able to, and if they want to go and look at that later, they can. So I think that's mostly what they're trying to do. So
yeah,
there was something I saw. Now this is totally unrelated, but I keep seeing that Microsoft is supposedly going to be putting Call of Duty on the Game Pass. And I don't remember if you said like a while ago you didn't think that would ever happen. I don't remember. I know that we had mentioned this a long time ago, and I'm trying to remember your response off the top of my head, and I can't.
Yeah. I don't know that that would have been a black. Really quick. I don't know that would have been a black book prediction.
I don't remember.
I mean, here's the reality, Brian. Microsoft appreciates the constant revenue of cash from a subscription service like Game Pass versus a one-time game sale, in which, of course, the profits are not, 100% going to them. When Activision was a separate company, Microsoft was only making a fraction of that sale compared to what Activision Blizzard was making on the sale as the actual developer of the game. And the fact that they now own this and the money is going to them either way, I think this is a great idea for them to put Call of Duty on day one Game Pass.
It will justify a lot of the cost for people that are Call of Duty fans that would be like, they know they're going to buy it, and the cost of it is a chunk of the yearly cost of the whole Game Pass. So, if you're interested in trying out some other games, or if they put more than just the current Call of Duty on there, if they have a number of different Call of Duties, you can jump on and play whichever one you want. I think it'll bring a lot of players to Call of Duty to discover the franchise, give you a lot of new noobs to go and pummel,
Of course.
And I think it'll get some sales on their Game Pass. So it makes sense to me. I just wasn't sure if people ever thought that this would happen, but this is one of their best selling products. And I think they're looking at subscriptions being what make them money going forward.
Well, it is.
And
I mean,
that's the way to do it.
The seemingly large swaths of the economy has transitioned into either software as a service or product as a service. I mean, you've seen a large chunk of the economy is shift to that, and for them, they've got the ability to do that. The cost for them internally is nothing, because it's now completely under their umbrella of companies. So I think, me as somebody who has kind of taken a step back from Call of Duty a little bit. I haven't played one I probably haven't played a COD in 8 months at this point, maybe even longer, honestly. This might be a justification for me to turn back on my PC Game Pass subscription.
Yeah. And that's true. That's one benefit is, let's say you would have purchased the Game Pass only on Xbox or only on PC. Being on the Game Pass, you could go and pick whichever is convenient at the time. Because maybe you want to play on PC and play with keyboard and mouse, or maybe you want to jump on and play with some controller at the time. That's your choice. One thing, there's an opinion piece here by Forbes, and one thing that they said is that it could be a significant area for Game Pass growth, because they said outside of Grand Theft Auto 6 possibly being put on the Game Pass, this is the next biggest thing that would draw people to their Game Pass.
I would agree.
They said Starfield was the previous record holder for signups. But if this person's opinion is that Call of Duty would blow away Starfield's record.
Oh, and it absolutely would. I mean, you're talking about one of the most recognizable video game franchises of all time in Call of Duty. And just, the issue you have with some of these subscription services, Brian, is there's only so many people that are available. Right, there's your user cap is only so much. Your percentage of people that will sign up is essentially capped at a certain number until you're bringing new things online. You might want to write this in the book. I can guarantee you that Rockstar will not have Grand Theft Auto available day one on Game Pass.
Okay.
I think
I agree with you.
I don't think for them that makes any sense. I don't see the benefit for Rockstar, which is not owned by one of the very few studios not owned by Microsoft at this point. Yeah. I don't see the benefit for them. But I'll note this is the company that's going to have a year delay between the console and PC release of the game. So for them, I see absolutely no benefit of them being on Game Pass day one. I don't think Microsoft could write a big enough check.
Yeah.
And Microsoft literally could write cash some of the biggest checks in the world. I don't think any amount of money.
I'll put Nick here. This is your prediction. So I put 5/20/24. Rockstar will not release GTA 6 on Game Pass day one.
I don't see what would be their benefit. What do they need? A big fat check from Microsoft?
Okay. Hear me out on this. The possibility, it's kind of in reverse, but let's say they're doing a long-term thinking of this. All the people that will play on Game Pass, they keep it on Game Pass for a limited amount of time, and then they take it off. This is a game that you play for years. Mm-hmm. Those people then will turn around and purchase it. So they'll get the original huge offer that Microsoft put out for the day one, and then let's say 6 months, a year later, people will then purchase a ton of copies because they want to maintain it. I don't think it necessarily makes sense, but that's the only logic I can come up with of why they would. Because as you said, I don't think Microsoft can write a large enough check to cover the day one PC or console sales that they'll have.
Well, and again, it's not, to me, it's not even the sales as much as, Rockstar wants to be able to publish the stat as to how many copies of a game was sold, and it's very hard to do that with Game Pass. And for
selling those installs and possibly how many executions,
and those numbers don't translate into sales figures. Rockstar is a very interesting company, I guess would be the way to put it. I mean, as I noted, they'll literally I'll have to buy I'll have to buy literally a new console and a copy of this game when it comes out on the new Xbox, and then a year later wait and then buy it on PC, because I will not wait a year while everybody else gets to play it and have a whole bunch of fun, and I'm sitting here playing GTA 5.
Now in fiscal year 2023, Take-Two Interactive recorded a total net loss of 1.1 billion US for that company. So right now, while they're creating and generating this product, they're creating billions of dollars in loss, because they know that when GTA 6 releases, they'll make all that money that they have been supposedly losing over these years.
Well, that's
instantly
be supposedly in 6 losing. Months. Yeah, I mean, that's not. They're not.
They're making an investment currently. They're saying it's a loss, but it's an investment.
Sure,
because they know that they'll make billions on GTA 6. And I don't know, how many billions what that will be, but it'll be significant. Just look at how much they made on GTA 5 in the past.
Grand Theft Auto has sold approximately 200 million copies of GTA 5 worldwide.
Yeah.
That is
at
nuts.
Least $20 a pop.
Yeah, that is an insane. I mean, I own 3, if not 4 copies myself.
I know I own a couple, yeah. Oh, did you see that they set a release date for GTA 6? At least
is that official?
Mm-hmm. This is from Take-Two. It's going to be fall 2025.
Well, it's not a release date. Yeah, I mean, we knew that.
But I said a release window. It's going to be fall of 2025 is what they're locking it down to. So we're coming up on just about a year away.
Well, which will make Grand Theft Auto 5 14 years old when this comes out, I think. 2011, I think, is when GTA 5 came out. A 14-year-old cycle for a game. That's nuts.
Yeah, it'll be, because GTA 5 came out at least 11 years ago. I think it was 11 years ago that it's released. So it'll be 12 years. They'll release it on the 12th anniversary of GTA 5.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it takes them 12 years to release a new title. I mean,
but the part to note, Brian,
is they put so much work into it. It takes them at least 5+ to 10 years to make it.
But here's the thing. Look at I have this document here. This is one of these stat websites, so take it for what it's worth. But I mean, look at how this, obviously you had the huge booms early on, but look at how each and every year it's growing by 5 to 10 million copies sold. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
if you look 2021, it kind of jumps up a little more than average. I think that's when people were really getting into that boom of doing the role playing on GTA, and so I think that's that spike. But if you look, it is still pretty even. It's not like the most. I mean, look at most of the other graphs we see of PC games, especially when sold on Steam, to where it's the opposite. Where as far as the rate of sales just dramatically drop. It looks like the rate of sales stays pretty consistent overall. They're consistently selling 10 million copies?
5 to 10 a year. Yeah.
5 to 10 million copies every year. For 11 years. Coming up 10, 11 years on here.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, good for them, right? That's the way to do it. If they make a product that is a lot of fun, there's tons of content. Now, my biggest worry is there's a lot that's changed politically in the past 10 years. 11
This is true.
I'm worried if they've been invaded and taken over from the inside and we see a very different GTA. You want to know what's going to kill their company the fastest? That. If it comes out and it doesn't feel like GTA because it's so drastically changed and the edgy content isn't there, people are going to walk away.
I've seen a lot of fear mongering from I call it the so-called conservative influencers on social media. GTA 5, there's a female protagonist in the game. That's going to ruin it. And I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. I can't subscribe to the idea that a female protagonist, who's, by the way, not even the main character, but a female protagonist is going to ruin the video game. I just watched Pulp Fiction yesterday. I mean, that there's a very strong female protagonist in that movie as well.
Or look at Rebel Moon. Have you seen Rebel Moon?
I have not.
Snyder. You should watch those. They're very action packed, but the last one at least, I don't remember on the first one. Well, yeah, the whole thing, because it's two parts. But they use a female protagonist that seems very capable, very strong, doesn't push the whole "oh, I'm a strong woman" feel. Like, it's not like they're trying to put that messaging out. They just put a very strong, and it's in a fake world, so you can, separate from reality and enjoy the fact that it's just a good action-packed movie. It's when they sit there and then push. Like, there's just a way that they push it. That's what ruins it for, I think, a lot of people, is when they push, "I am a woman and I'm strong and nobody can tell me what to do." That kind of a mentality when
like
they're saying that.
Lady Spider-Man movie, Madam Web or whatever, terrible.
When they're pushing that and trying to make it a point, or the whole Scooby-Doo thing with what's her name, Wilma, I think it was, or She-Hulk. I mean, if you look the way that they push those, that you could,
She-Hulk.
It was oozing with politics and oozing with creep factor, right? I don't see Rockstar doing anything like that. They're not a Disney. They're not gonna hang themselves for the sake of DEI.
Well, and that's kind of my point. Is I think for conservatives, they're jumping on a lot of clickbait of like, "Oh, look at this, it's gonna be ruined. Oh, look at this, it's gonna be ruined." I don't subscribe to that. I'm gonna just wait and see. I mean, we'll see when the game comes out. I am relatively confident that Rockstar knows what they're doing. They've been at this a long time. And they know what their audience wants. They know that their audience is a bunch of 18 to 40 some odd year old dudes. That's who plays Grand Theft Auto. They are keenly aware to the market in which they are promoting their content to. And I would be shocked if they come out and just completely lay a turd in regards to GTA 6. I don't see it.
And what I've seen from Red Dead Redemption 2, and the first Red Dead,
but that came out a long time ago. I mean, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, Brian. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is 2015.
Yeah, but
it's
just the things that they were able to put in that, and the way that they made the environment just step up beyond anything else that's in a similar game. That gave me hope that this will be that immersive, because that's what I'm really going for. You know how I like to just get lost in the game, and that for me, they gave that to me with Red Dead.
But yeah, it's funny you bring that up.
They're bringing up. They're releasing it on PC. I don't know if we talked about that.
It's a year later though, not original, not on first look.
No, so the Red Dead Redemption 1 is getting released on PC.
Via where? Game Pass?
I don't know. Like they're actually putting it out for PC, because it was never released on PC. I don't think. Red Dead Redemption 1. I think I saw news.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll put PC. So Red Dead. Okay, here's for 3 days ago. I checked the date. It's not Yahoo.
And it's not Yahoo News.
I guess it's finally time for me to play Red Dead Redemption. They say on here they put that Red Dead Redemption will be coming. After 14 years of console exclusivity, Red Dead Redemption is finally coming to PC, according to leaks from Rockstar. So they're supposedly putting out and going to be making, which is going to be huge for the modding market, because that's really where some of these things go crazy. Is once they port it to PC, people figure out the client, and then they can do all kinds of mods and role playing, because that's what made the role playing for GTA work. It wasn't the console community that really was able to do it. It was the PC community where they were using these hack clients to be able to make the client do what they wanted. There you go.
Yeah.
Because May 18th is the 14th anniversary of Red Dead Redemption. I mean, that's already passed, and I didn't see anything. But this was
it's not out yet.
This was written a day. I think this was written a day before that.
So. Well, great. I might argue day late and a dollar short. I don't know that
I'm more thinking they'll probably try to get it to where maybe they'll put a remastered version out with a little bit enhanced graphics to take advantage of the PC hardware, and then people will sit there and mod it and do all the same things. And because I think it's very different than Red Dead Redemption 2, and as far as how they built the interactivity. Yes. So there may be things that they can do on that one that doesn't seem to work well on the new Red Dead Redemption.
I want to go back to something that you were just saying. And Brian, I have finally reached a point in my life at the ripe age of 27 years old where things seem like they happened not that long ago, but they happened a long time ago. You just mentioned, Red Dead Redemption. Game came out in it didn't come out in 2015. It came out in probably 2018 would be my guess for when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. But I was watching reruns.
2018, October 26, 2018.
I got a pretty good memory on that. I was watching reruns of The Office with my girlfriend last night, and we were both talking about it, and I was like, "This show is not that old. This is like 2011, which doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it was 13 years ago." There is no way a show like The Office could be made today.
No.
There's no way Steve Carell could be the character that he was if that show came out March 20th of 2024. But again, it doesn't seem like that long ago. But in the span of what we've seen with this weird kind of social justice thing that's been going on, it really hasn't been happening
that long.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. It seems like it's been going on forever, but it really hasn't. I mean, look at Die Hard. I mean, that movie came out in 2000, or not Die Hard. What's the parody war movie?
Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder, is that it?
Tropic Thunder from 2008. Yes,
2008. That movie is the most politically incorrect movie. That came out in 2008, not 1988.
Isn't Robert Downey Jr.
He's in blackface.
Jr. in blackface.
Yes,
which is a big no-no.
Yes, that was 2008.
Yeah. Yep.
Doesn't seem like that long, and realistically, it wasn't that long ago. But it's gonna be.
It's all about perspective. Yeah, for me, it seems like there's things I look at and say, "Oh, that was only 10 years ago." 10 years is a pretty decent chunk of time. I mean, it's a quarter of my life.
It is a decent chunk of time, Brian. But as rapidly as this stuff has evolved, it's not been that long. I mean, you would assume some of this brewing up of DEI and some of these other initiatives is something that's been going on for 20 years, and it's really only been going on for like 5, maybe 10 years at the absolute most.
Yeah. And one thing I've noticed is, or what it's made me more aware of, is how easily influenceable people are. I mean, it's just the people are willing to jump on something because they feel like it's a good cause and just, without actually paying attention to any of the meat of what it is. And DEI is a perfect example of that. And and it's coming to a head if you look what's happening in the universities, the blatant racism that you're seeing now, which is just shocking to me. That is what, I mean, if you would have told these people at the beginning of this DEI push, hey, you guys are going to all of a sudden be, calling Jews names, publicly beating them in the streets, saying all these things. Like, who would have thought that this supposedly equity would lead to that? Because that's not what it's really about in the end. I mean, that's just the cover that they put for controlling people and influencing people and manipulating people. And it's coming to a head now, because look what's happened in our universities, a place where they're most influenceable. The kids are just nuts, and they're terrorists.
I saw this on Twitter over the weekend. I don't know how this is all coming together. This is AMC was airing Goodfellas, And this was the warning. This film includes language and/or cultural stereotypes that are inconsistent with today's standards of inclusion and tolerance and may offend some viewers. Goodfellas is one of the greatest movies ever created.
But it was based on things that were real. I mean, as far as it may not have been a story, but that kind of stuff was happening in, at that time. That type of stuff was happening and was real. So, like, why do you need to it'd be like having a show on World War II and then with the Nazis say, we just, these things are talking about, all these ideas that are no longer inclusive. It's like, well, are they going to do it on Schindler's List? Did they put a disclaimer there?
But look at what happened with that Call of Duty. Look at what happened with Call of Duty World War II. There was a huge amount of backlash from the public that there weren't more depictions of Nazi Germany in the game because you were making a game about World War II. I mean, you were talking about battling versus evil, battling against the German Nazis in World War II, and you wiped all of that from the game because you didn't want it to be, quote, offensive. And
it's like offending. I mean, honestly, they're showing that they hate Jewish people now. So who are they worrying about? But who are they worrying about offending with Nazi symbolism? If you look at Ukraine, they love it. I mean, and that's our number one poster boy in the United States, Ukraine. So why are they getting so worried about putting it in a video game when you're willing to push groups of people that are pro that type of mentality? You're all about it until it gets something that is showing real history. That's when all of a sudden they want to stop. And then why are they trying to hide real history? That's all stuff that really happened. Why are you trying to wash it away? Because are you hoping to repeat it? I mean, that's kind of my guess. Is what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's
hard to know how bad it was. Like what?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before, Brian, the rubber band analogy. My radio listeners, I'm sure, are sick of me talking about it, but I kind of think of the world, things that go on is kind of like a rubber band, and you can take a rubber band and you pull it, and eventually it snaps on one side. And when it does, it shoots back in the other direction. It hits your thumb or whatever finger you're pulling with it, and springs back in the other direction very, very quickly. I truly believe that we are on the precipice of that happening right now. I mean, the rubber band is starting to tear, and you're starting to see little bits and fragments. For example, here in North Carolina, the UNC system, which is about 16 schools, all schools that are University of North Carolina. Of course, there's Chapel Hill and Wilmington and NC State and all these other institutions. They're voting this week to abolish DEI system-wide. This is a major university system.
Schools are waking up and realizing they're going to be destroyed if they don't stop this. They're going to be taken over. We're repeating history. What Hitler was able to do with the Nazis to the youth is exactly what the universities have been doing up to this point. And the problem is, they're not going to be able to maintain the only reason they're upset is they're not maintaining control of it. That's the only reason they're upset. Before, they felt like they had control. But the problem is you've got two sets of students that you're pitting against each other in your own institution, and you're trying to manipulate both of them. Well, how do you do that? Right? I mean, you got people that are pro-Islam, pro-Israel, and you're teaching them to hate each other, but then how do you manipulate them together at the same time? They're bashing heads with the way that you're teaching them now, and it's becoming a problem. And I don't know, hopefully it's made them wake up and they can start clearing out these people that have created this whole mess in the first place, because it's people getting on boards saying, well, let me help you become more inclusive. Let me help you fill in the blanks. And they sit there and have been able to do unlimited influence and promise money. I think the biggest change that we'll see after the election, if Trump is put in office, is the government cutting all this excess funding for DEI initiatives. Because I think that's what pushes these universities, because they get free money. Companies get free money. All these places get free money for pushing these things. And when that money goes away, guess what? All of a sudden they're going to forget all these morals that they supposedly have.
I really do believe that this is about to course correct in a pretty rapid way.
I hope so.
Everything seems to be trending that way. So I don't know.
Pushing people against each other all the time is going to end up with a big fight, explosion, whatever. You can pick whatever analogy you want, but it's going to be very contentious, and it's starting to be very contentious. And they're going to lose control. We're getting riots and all these different things. At what point do you just say stop? And what's crazy is both sides of the aisle have this influence. It's not just liberals that are doing this. You've got the same people on the right that are just as hateful in some areas.
Sure.
You got a huge push on the right of people hating Israel, which is odd to me. Like I don't understand it. You got a huge push from the left now of them hating Israel. You got a big push for Islam, a pro-Islam on the left, which doesn't mix well with hardly any other belief because they teach you to kill anyone who doesn't believe what you believe. Like, how does that mesh with anyone else when their primary thing is with jihad, you take over people and you kill them if they're unwilling to convert?
Yeah. I don't know how we got
how do you get out of it? Like they've created a no-win situation to where both sides are not going to be happy coming out of this. One is going to have to either be defeated or walk away.
I'm not sure how we got down this rabbit hole. But I mean, a lot of it really comes back to the fact that what is happening in culture and what is happening in our day-to-day lives does translate over to media, right? We were just talking about movies and television shows and video games. And, I think kind of wrapping this up with GTA 6, I think GTA 6 will be a great opportunity for people to go, finally, like I can breathe. Reality.
We can laugh at ourselves again.
We can laugh.
That's what I miss, right?
You
used to be able to laugh at yourself, and it seems like that's been taken away. I guess unless you're a white male, you can laugh at yourself all you want. But you're not allowed to laugh at anybody else, right? That's been something where there used to be jokes where people could tease each other, kind of like what you brought it up with Tropic Thunder. That character was created as a joke, right? We're seriously trying to make fun of black people in that way, right? But we've lost the ability to laugh at ourselves. And like, when are we going to get that back? And that's one thing that GTA was so successful at, is getting people to laugh at other people and themselves. Like, everybody was laughed at equally in that franchise. Yeah. And if they try to get away from that, that's going to be their death knell.
Couldn't agree anymore. Brian, we got a couple minutes left. What else do we want to jump into today?
Well, let's talk about this one thing really quick. This is a small one, but Microsoft is starting to integrate AI into games.
Oh,
I thought it was interesting. There's a video. If you could pull up that video I have underneath of it, it's a conference where they're showing this off, and it's maybe not integrating it in the way that you're thinking. Because Microsoft has the whole Copilot program that they launched, which is like an AI chat bot, and so they rolled out some functionality into Minecraft and displayed it in public. And let's just play that for a minute, because you can kind of see how they're using AI to make gaming easier, getting into gaming easier. So let's go and play it.
You'll need some materials. Can you open your inventory? Just press E on your keyboard.
Yeah, do I have what I need?
Let's see. You've got some sticks, perfect for the sword's handle, but it looks like you're missing the material for the blade. You can use wood, stone, iron, gold, or diamond.
All right, let's pause it there for a second.
You'll need some.
So what is that? Was that an AI assistant talking to the person?
Yeah. So in the game, you're just talking to an assistant who is helping you with kind of like a tutorial.
Cortana. She's back, Brian. Halo was right Halo was right 25 years ago.
Yeah. So they're going through, and rather than having the tutorial where it just flashes pages that you have to read,
that
or
nobody
maybe
reads,
or something pre-recorded, it's a tutorial that will help kind of guide you, but be based on what you're trying to do at the time. So they're saying, hey, because in Minecraft, you have the first one where it teaches you how to take an axe, maybe you're building an axe or pickaxe or something like the first time. They take that experience and say, all right, you can talk to it and say, hey, I need to build this. What do I need to build this? And it'll talk to you just like you heard in normal everyday language. And that way, if you go off and say, well, I don't want to follow the tutorial exactly, I want to go try to build this, then you talk to it about that, and it will adjust that tutorial, if you want to call it that, to be what you're trying to do at the time. And that's a way that without having to pre-generate all these things, you just train it on your own game to where it has the ability to answer in a reasonable way the game itself, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just browsing Twitter because that link was a Twitter link, and this is what Elon Musk just tweeted out from The Simpsons. Perhaps there's some video game streams in here, and it is in fact a strip club. And then his caption was
maybe somebody's playing game on their phone in there somewhere.
And he his response was stream on X. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh well, that's the truth of what it's become.
Yeah, unfortunately,
video games is now no longer about video games.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
But I think if they do this kind of integration, speaking of AI, I think that this will be very handy for people that are getting into a new game that they have zero experience in, because a lot of it, especially in survival games like that, you're just running around and hitting everything. They want it to be more of an easy adjustment for the first hour of playtime. This would ease them in much better than those guided. It'll get rid of those guided quests that lock you into a path for the first hour of the game.
Well, one of the other things too is you wonder, does something like this get rid of games on rails like Far Cry's and things like that?
Well, where it can adjust maybe loot based on what it's trying to accomplish at the time, using logic, because that's really, you can try to program in logic, but it's hard to adjust on the fly when it goes a little bit off of what you're pre-planning.
Sure.
Right? That's why they lock you so heavily into those rails, so they can know, especially so like Last of Us. They have the part where you kind of squeeze through different sections. Like, oh, here's a thin spot, I got to squeeze through. The only reason they do that is because they're figuring out at what point you're ready for the next cutscene to start. So once you go through there, okay, you didn't somehow trick your way into getting into a zone you weren't normally able to get into and breaking the whole game. When you pass that gate, then the next set of mobs are loading farther up the stream, and then if you go back through it the other direction, then it reloads all the mobs behind you. Like, it's just a way of them controlling progress and knowing what they need to load and unload in the game. And that's because it's on rails. They have to make sure the path ahead of you is all loaded up, or the path behind you is all loaded up.
Yeah,
this will get rid of that.
And really what it comes down to more than anything else is the amount of resources that you put into the development. I mean, it's a lot easier to make a game on rails when but let me be clear, not every game that's on rails is terrible. Far Cry games are a lot of fun, but
until you get to the 3/4 and past there, and then it's like I'm doing the same thing the 30th, 50th time.
Yeah. Oh wow, you're looking for loot again. You got to go raid this village, and
I'm gonna go to this one little place that has the same type of stuff that the last 50 had.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of but I mean, you look at like I use Far Cry as a good example because it's a franchise that I've enjoyed playing in the past.
Yeah.
The reason those games are on rails is so they can control the experience. So as you play through the game, Brian, what you experience and what I experience, whether we play the game at the same time or 15 years apart, should be the same sort of experience. A lot of that comes down to the amount of time that it takes to make a game. It's a lot easier to make it on rails than open world. Case in point, Grand Theft Auto, that's going to take 15 years to come out, or games like Fallout that are under development for a decade. It could be, depending on how long it is, or Skyrim or something of that nature. You do wonder in the future if AI, from now different from what we just saw, but from a development standpoint, will allow those I call them guardrails to come off a little bit and allow some of these studios to open some of this stuff up so that there are some of those different experiences. Even if, again, here's the thing. For a story-based campaign game, you do in some elements want it on rails, right? So you can actually complete the story. I'm sure somebody like you, Brian, you get sidetracked in the game, and if you don't finish it, you maybe never even saw the story, and you're like, I kind of got bored on all my little side quests. I've done that in plenty of Fallout games where I just start a new game, get bogged down on the side quests, and say, whatever, I'm done. I don't feel like playing anymore. So maybe that's I think something in the future.
One that suffers the most is survival games, and that's where we started, right? I think survival games where they have these big open worlds and they want to randomly drop you in places, that's where it's really tough for them to make a good tutorial system that teaches you the beginning of the game. That's why you have Ark, where they throw you down there and you're starting to hit trees, trying to figure out how in the world do I get a stick? Oh, I found a stick here. I found a rock here. They didn't really create any kind of a tutorial system, or even Rust. A lot of these games, because they're dropping you in a random place, it's hard for them to create a tutorial that won't get you killed by everybody running around you. Well, this will change that because they don't have to create a tutorial that's based on a pre-planned event. It can adjust on the fly to the fact that it dropped you in this tundra area, and okay, well, I need to figure out how to create something warm to wear first. And it will judge that based on your needs. And you telling it, hey, I think I'm going to freeze to death. What can I do about this? And you just ask it that question on the fly. It'll say, hey, let's figure out how to get you something that you can turn into warm clothes.
Yeah.
And just go from there rather than pre-programming it out saying, oh, you want to start in a tundra area? Here, now we're going to lock you into this path so that we can make clothes by the end of the tutorial, and then we'll let you loose.
Yeah. There's a lot that's here.
And one thing I made, there was a note on this video for, it says, goodbye tutors, goodbye teachers, goodbye homeschool parents, exciting/scary times. This is going to be kind of the standard, even in schooling, I think. Eventually they'll get to the point where a student has a set of things that he needs to learn or she needs to learn by the end of the year, and they can have an AI thing guiding them through the learning process so that in real time they're getting tailored instruction that's helping them to learn the pieces that are missing from their education. We don't do that except for in homeschool, where if the parents are very involved, they can adjust on the fly their education system to fill in gaps. But public school systems don't do this. That's why they bring up the No Child Left Behind and all this stuff to try to prevent kids from who don't have the education, but they're just pushing them through grades. I think education will be a point where maybe we'll start to see this. They'll take away a lot of need for teachers, to be honest, because you'll have an AI that's kids have headphones on and it's talking them through the day's lesson and educating them the way that best fits their learning style in real time. It makes a lot more sense than having a teacher standing up there and talking to you and propagandizing you for, the first however many years of your life, 18 years, minus your 5 or 6 to get to kindergarten. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this AI, does start to influence education. We're starting to see it in games. It's starting to really affect work. What else is it going to go through? Is it going to be everything has some form of AI? We're just going to have a master AI that we interact with, then interacts with other AIs. It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, and as of right now, it is really hard to know. All right, Brian. Thank you as always. Where do folks find you on the old internets?
Yeah, if you want to find me on X, you can find me at Boise Computer or Brian Aldridge on GabGetter, Truth Social. If you want to go check out my blog, biteoftech.com, but best place probably to go is just to our website, infectionpodcast.com. Jump on there, and up the upper right-hand side, we've got a join us on Discord link. If you go in there, we've got 11 ARC servers running on there. We've got a politics and gaming section. There's a channel called Show News, and if you have a topic that you think that we should review before the live show, toss a link in there and we'll look at it. We also, if you want to watch the live version of the show, we have that on Twitch and YouTube, or after the fact, we upload it on Rumble. We also have the podcast form, which is uploaded after the fact as well, down at the lower right. Pick whatever platform device is most convenient for you. We've got a lot of different ways to listen to the podcast. And once you've done that, our show notes are also going to be ready on the website. So if you click that, we'll have a video and audio player built in. Maybe you want to go check out that Minecraft AI video that we showed. We'll have a link for that right on this page, and you can follow along while we're doing the show. If you want to support us, there's a support menu option up top, or you can go to infectionpodcast.com/support.
Yes, that is the link. Brian, thank you very much. As always, greatly appreciated. Hopefully you enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, and we'll do it again sometime middle next week.
Sounds good. Talk to them.
Alrighty, folks, thanks for joining us. If you want to check out my antics, you can follow me over on X at Nicholas M. Craig, or check out my website, nickcraig.com, where you can view the daily Wilmington's Morning News podcast, talk about a lot of national and international things in there. You can view that and get that wherever your podcasts are available. If you missed any portion of today's program, don't forget to head on over to our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.